This is Lomita Village in 1954. Remember the story of You're Unique? 1954, the story of Grant, Mary, my wife, moved about right there. And I moved right there. We were that far apart. But anyway, we moved out here. I'll get to the story about this place. And the stories when 1945 and all. When I get out of Normal Heights and get over to Lomita Village, maybe use this picture here. But, we're in this coronavirus thing and talking about plagues. We had a plague. Moved there in 54. We were a couple of years, so it's 55 or 56 when we had a plague. Let me try to. It's kind of hard from here to see the what this terrain looked like right here. This whole area is expandable soil, meaning during the winter it tightens up, and during the summer it opens up, and you get these nasty cracks. Let me see if I can put this here in front of the screen for a minute. You can see how mountainous this is, and how up and down, and anyway, that. Excuse me a minute. It's not focusing very good. Anyway, this is just kind of a normal erosion crack there going down that ravine there. And you would think if there was any cracks, it would be up and down, cracks this way. But during the summers, all through, all along this area, it would, the earth would open. You'd get these big cracks 2 or 3 feet wide. You'd have to, when you run down the hill to do something, you'd have to jump over these cracks, big old gnarly cracks, 3-4 feet deep. And then during the winter, they'd close up. And but anyway, one year, I happened to get up in the morning. I'm about 5 houses down here, and I come out, and I'm facing the ocean. I'm facing west, and from the south, just moving down. It was by the time I walked out on the front lawn, it was moving about 3 or 4 houses away from me, and it was just black. Just this black thing coming all across the streets, the lawns, up the houses, sides of houses, and it was caterpillars, millions of them. And what had happened was, right over here by this is Hamershaw Road. This is Cardiff here. This is Hamershaw Road going down. Right about here, the crack opened up, and that crack went all the way across here. I don't remember how far it came, and it didn't have to be one continuous crack, because apparently at one time all these caterpillar eggs somehow got trapped down in the earth. And this one summer, there's cracks of billions and billions of caterpillars come pouring out of these cracks, and they just moved across the surface, coming this way and this way. I don't remember any of them coming from this direction. I remember all them coming this way and this way. And it was like a plague of caterpillars, not them little fuzzy ones, those ones with the little spiky things on them. And it was just amazing. Look down the street, and here's this wall of black coming right down the street. Sidewalks. It was just like that movie about the ants, the soldier ants, from that old movie back in the 40s or whenever. And this is documented in the Evening Tribune or Morning Morning Tribune, evening, there was 2 papers back there. What they had to do was all around Lomita Village, they surrounded it with this white paper thing about the size of the screen, 10, 12 inches tall, I don't remember. The pictures were in the newspaper. And so all the way around Lomita Village, they had to build this little paper wall with some kind of chemical that the caterpillars didn't crawl over it. Because they were, the people got on it, the city officials or whatever got on it right away. And I don't know if they was keeping the caterpillars that were already trapped in here from getting back out or keeping them more from coming in, because they just come billowing out of these cracks, 3-foot wide cracks coming all along here and all along these, up and down these little ravines, and mostly on all the little high spots, not so much down in the little erosion cracks. I don't remember, but anyway, and so here's this, they got the stakes and the paper and the stake, and they completely surrounded Lomita Village with this paper, this chemical paper. I don't know how they worked this. There's one road in here coming from Encano, coming from the west, or coming up the hill, coming west, going east rather, coming west, or coming from there's only one road in over here, one road in here, and of course the road coming here, and a road coming down the hill from Normal Heights. I remember talking to Pastor Butcher about it. Oh yeah, I remember that. And so I actually lived through, what they read in the Bible, the locust plagues and the, like in Moses and Egypt, and the plagues of the gnats and the frogs. So I actually lived through a plague of little caterpillars. So I thought that was, here we are with this coronavirus, and I even lived through an invasion of caterpillars. And it was just imagine coming out of your house in the morning and looking left, and all of a sudden just see black. They were like an inch apart, a half inch apart. They were like, it wasn't like 2 or 3 inches apart. They were all just right beside each other, and as they'd hit a tree, the trees I'm talking about was. When they moved it in, when they took this picture here, there weren't any fences, there wasn't any grass. Every house they planted a tree out in the front yard, but it was just about this big around and about 5 feet tall and hardly any branches on it, hardly any leaves. But see, we're talking a year or 2 years later, so now some of those trees were probably 7 feet tall with a tree part about the size of half of a Volkswagen, but they were just going up, and they're eating everything as they go. They're eating the grass, I don't know, they're just climbing up the walls of houses just to be moving, I guess. I don't know if they got up on the roofs or what, but because you can just imagine 2 million caterpillars coming this way, and 5 million caterpillars coming this way. And then they come out there and build that little paper wall all the way around to put an end to it. So that was pretty amazing. And so while I got you here, see this little black thing right there? That's Albertsons Shopping Center, which was a small aircraft airfield. Right here is the swap meet now. Back then it was a rodeo grounds. And here's Hamershaw going down the hill, and you can barely make out right along there. That's a creek. You see it right into there. Year-round running water. The Spring Valley Creek had year-round running water. And right here is This is Sweetwater Road, and then Sweetwater Road went around towards kind of heading Bonita wise, and Paradise Valley Road right here came up the hill and come this way over and went down to here. And this was Skyline from Lemon Grove. They turned it into Cardiff. And then as it turned, it went back to Skyline. And the Skyline went over here, and right here, there was a branch that went over to Paradise Valley Road, and Skyline went all the way down into Valencia Park. So this is pretty neat here, and this is Lomita Village in 1954, and you imagine Mary, Granny, my wife's living right there, 10 years old, and I'm living right here, 15 years old. Nothing to do. It was just, you could see from, nobody had any, no grass, no trees, no fences, no sheets, no curtains on the windows. They just hang up sheets. It just all of a sudden they opened this up and poof, it was filled. Every house had kids. That's why the church that's built right here, back in Kansas, they knew this was coming, so they sent Pastor Butcher out here to plant a church there, to take care of all of the children. They were focusing on the youth. They wanted to have have a church for these youths. I know Mary went there at 10 years old, and Pastor Butcher's preaching. She went forward, and after the service, she went in the back room with Pastor Butcher's daughter and accepted the Lord. But she was already a Christian anyway, and of course, me being a wild teenager or juvenile delinquent, I would ride by the church as they're building it. And one of these days I'll show some pictures of the church. But anyway, and right here lived an old hermit. He was real old and deaf. And there was a house moving all over San Diego. They were tearing down houses. And this is the road they would go for. They had to take this road to go there and go down here, and right around here somewhere is where they were storing all those houses, and people could buy them and have them moved to their lot or whatever, and build a house on it. And so right here he dug a big hole. I think first he just put I don't even know if he did a footing. He just he got a roof and just sat it on the ground, and then dug down 5 feet underneath it, and he lived underneath that roof. I call him Art the Hermit. Anyway, Lomita Village, 1954. A couple of years later, we had a plague of caterpillars. Bye-bye now.